Welcome back everyone and welcome to today's YouTube video. Today we're going to be going over my account here, what positions I have currently, my account totals, kind of where we're at with this journey. And I'm going to cover a little bit about kind of my main strategy here, how I'm going to be investing and stuff like that today. So stay tuned. So at the beginning here, I plan on being a little bit more riskier with some of my investments and trades than what we're going to see later on down the road, right? And the main reason for that is just your situation and how much money you are really willing to lose. With that being said, that absolutely is not going to be the strategy throughout this whole thing. Once we get later into this, right, we're adding money to this every month. We get rolling here. We probably make some money here and there throughout the stock market. We're going to diversify more, get into different things, maybe buy some stocks that pay dividends, right? All these kind of like really good strategies to make sure that you are successful long term, right? Short term success in the stock market is very difficult to do and also not necessarily the goal, right? The goal here is to have long-term success. Every single person has different investing strategies. For me personally, I am 23 years old. I don't need to retire tomorrow and I can kind of afford to take some losses here and there, right? Once we get later on and we have a lot more money, right? We're getting closer to needing to use this money for something. We're going to be a lot safer. With that being said, I don't want you guys to look at my trading strategies as quote unquote risky, right? I just am going to be looking for stocks that provide a lot more value to us than other names, right? I am not going to take out a loan against my house and put it on GameStop, right? Absolutely not. But what I am going to be looking at is, hey, does is this a good company and maybe their stock has been beaten down, right? There's a lot of companies that are doing well, but their stock is trading at a very good price, right? And that's what we're going to be looking for. Okay, now let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into this account. I'm going to show you what we're valued at right now. Like I said, I'm about 3 months into this account, so I've added $1,500 to this account. Our goal is still $500 a month, and let's get into my positions and what I'm kind of looking for in the future. Okay, so as of right now, I only have two positions on board, and that would be SoFi and AMD. So the reason I bought SoFi is I really like the company. I like what they're doing. They have, their investment stuff, their robo trader accounts and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. I think it's a really good way of kind of getting people into the market and stuff like that. I bought this stock, I believe, somewhere right around in here. Obviously, 13.55 is my price that I got it at. And the reason I got it is because it was up at 20 some bucks or close to $20 right around, they called it the Trump bump or whatever, when Trump got elected. Then we had a huge tariff sell off, and then I got it on the way back up. I like to let things kind of go down and start to come back up. At least I try to do that. Obviously we'll get into a little bit of a different case when we talk about AMD here. But I bought this on the way back up. I'd like to see some sort of strength, right? Momentum moving up. Got it at 13.55. Now, kind of just sitting on it. I don't really know what a good price target is going to be for this because it's been so long since we've been up in this territory. Um, so we're just gonna have to see. We'll see what news comes out about this. We'll see what the markets are doing. I believe the Fed talks later this week about interest rates. That would be a huge indicator for SoFi too if interest rates are lowered. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on SoFi right now. Okay, so we just talked about our SoFi position and I'm pretty proud of that position. It's been working out really well. We're almost at the close to doubling our money on it. And that position wasn't necessarily like a super technical entry I had there, right? I'm not looking over the balance sheets, going over every single number, analyzing what I think, right? And I don't think it has to be like that, right? It's a good company. I like what they're doing. I like their product and I got into it, right? But my AMD position in my mind was a more technical entry. And that just goes to show that like whether you know all the facts and the charts and supports and all that stuff, you're still going to be wrong, right? And it's going to happen quite often, and that's just going to be okay. So the reason I got into AMD is mostly because of this day right here. Let's see, what was that? August 1st. It had been really strong for like 3 months, almost doubling in 3 months. It had a nice pullback here to 170, and then we got bought right back up the next couple of days. And then this earning days came out, and I don't love to take into consideration. I mean, you have to take into a little bit of consideration, but I don't like to overthink the day of earnings and or the day after earnings plays, just because a lot of times there's a big overreaction in the market, right? So like this day, it was earnings day, reported bad earnings, big overreaction, huge downfall. And the key event that happened here was that we broke through this kind of support level of 170 that it hit off of right here. And then it kind of just up and down off of 170, blah blah blah, and then it went up. And this is kind of when it caught my eye, was when it went to about this 190-ish level here, is because I thought I wanted to get it if it comes back to 170. This is the day I bought it, so August 18th, I bought it. It had a huge dip right off the open at 170. Got into it. Obviously, you can see how that went. Just kept going lower and lower and lower. And now it's kind of running into 170 as a resistance level. So, my thoughts moving forward on this is I don't really know. I want to see what it's going to do around this 150 level. I think if we can't stay above this 150 level for another 2 weeks or so, I think we're going to have to get rid of this one. But if we can kind of get a little bit up after here, after being at 150 for a while, I think that's going to be a good sign of it continuing to go up. Okay, so now that we have went over my two positions, I'm going to show you what our account balance is at and how much buying power and stuff we have. So as of right now, the account is at 171361, right? And like I said, we're about 3 months into this, so I've added $1,500 to this, so we're up about $200. Not bad, but really, I don't want to focus on how much money we're up or down, right? I still want this to be just a investing journey, more so focused on saving money every month and adding to this, right? So we can actually see a real big contribution and upward swing throughout the years. We still have about $300 in buying power. I'll go over a little bit about what I want to do next and some things that I'm looking at for my next few positions. So our next plays are going to be getting into some index funds. I, like I said in the beginning, I want to be about 50% index funds and about 50% individual stocks. So we need to get some index funds. Obviously, as you've seen, we don't have any right now. We're pretty heavy into the individual stocks, but that's okay. The next time I add money to this account, I'm going to be buying the Qs here. I just think that it's a really safe thing to just kind of always have some money into index funds, whatever you really think is the best. Me personally, right? I'm a big believer in technology. I don't think it's going anywhere. I believe we're just on the very beginning of this whole AI boom too, and it's going to be the future. So I'm going to be buying the Qs next. So now that we've talked about what my next position is going to be, I kind of want to talk a little bit about a few more stocks that I still like. And the first one I'm going to talk about is this United Health Group. So this is a prime example of a stock that has just been beaten down in the past year, and the company behind it is still doing okay. I believe their earnings is like right around like 10 to 15, which is a pretty good earnings these days, and I really like this level that we're at right here. As you can see, it bounced off of 320, 325 right in this area, right? Boom, right here. We hit it again, right around 320, 325, 330. We're approaching it right now, right? I think the next few days are going to be a huge indicator in whether this stock is going to continue to run up or if we're going to bounce right off of 325 again. If you're going to take a position, don't get too antsy about this, right? Have patience. Let it go all the way through 325. Hold there for a couple days, maybe, right? And then we can think about getting into this, right? Make sure you do your due diligence on this because this could come right back down super fast. So, the next stock that we're going to be covering here is Palantir. Now, I have a deep and long relationship with Palantir. This was kind of the stock that got me into investing. I was a very early investor in Palantir. Sold out way too early, like I'm sure a lot of people did. But I still think it's a great company, and I love what they're doing. They're software based, right? Defense company getting into a little bit of AI. I think this company has so much room to go up. But right now, I don't necessarily think it's a great time to get into this, right? It's been beaten up kind of since it approached this 200 level. Obviously, this is 190. It didn't quite get there, but I think almost just the fear of it getting to 200 had people selling out early. Where I would like to see this stock get to is right around the 125-ish level, right? So we approached 125 back here, and then we had a big sell off once again, and then we just marched right up to 190, right? This stock is not that far away, especially the way this thing moves, to being at this 120 to 125-ish level, right? I think if we get another kind of pullback in this stock, we're easily knocking on the door of 125. But once it gets there, I think we have to be super careful because this thing could just march right through 125 and settle in right around this 100 level, right? If I were looking to get into this stock, I would think 125 to 120-ish, I can take a small position. If it goes up, great. If we keep going right on through, I would say we either wait to see what it does at 100 or even add just a tiny bit more at 100. But that's kind of my thoughts on Palantir right now. So I kind of wanted to end this video off with a little bit of words of encouragement and kind of just my overall opinions on the markets right now. As you can see, this is the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, and we are basically right at all-time highs right now. And that doesn't scare me at all because of the way that we are investing and treating this account, and you guys are treating your accounts. We are not doing this all at once, throwing all my money in here and seeing what happens, right? Absolutely not. We are doing this little by little. So we almost want big market dips, right? If the market dips way down, that's fine. We don't care. We're going to take our money that we saved for that month and we're going to add it into the market, right? If it dips even more the next month, okay, we don't care. We're taking the money we saved, adding it in, right? And pretty soon, when the markets come back, because they always do, history has told us they always come back, then we make even more money, right? So that's why I don't want you guys to look at the markets being so high right now and think, oh my goodness, it's a bad time to buy. Because if you're doing it little by little with thoughts of being successful long term, it's almost impossible to fail because we're kind of protecting ourselves against the downside. And I just wanted to end with that. And thank you guys for watching and have a good day.